1 year ago, I preached a sermon in this sanctuary as a part of the 42nd celebration of creativity. This was the last Sunday that we all worshiped together. Oh, how this year has been filled with ups and downs. And yet, when I reread the sermon, I realized that it's just as relevant today as ever. And so I've adapted it for our unique context today. That which is within you has most likely given you strength to persevere through this incredibly challenging year. 6 years ago, when we were in the process of adopting our children, I would take Tony to downtown Portland and we would throw rocks in the river and explore the bridges and walk the streets of downtown. When we first did this, Tony was 8 years old. One time, we were walking on our way to get ice cream. We came upon a spiky green plant laying on the sidewalk. I thought it looked like a plant. But Tony, after looking at it, said, "Ooh, that's a slug," declaring it disgusting. As we went on, we found another spiky green plant with acorns still attached. We looked to see, and they were under a tall oak tree, and that the spiky green thing was what attached the acorn to the tree. As Tony picked it up this time and looked at it more closely, he said, "Oh, I understand now. It's not disgusting anymore. I understand now. It's not disgusting anymore." That was just one bit of the wisdom that Tony shared with me in our adventures. These downtown walks and playing at the river and parks together was a lovely reminder of how the world is experienced as a child. Seeing beauty, hearing music, feeling wonder, noticing that the ordinary is extraordinary and even magical. Perhaps you have had that experience and that reminder through your children or grandchildren. In fact, isn't that what the celebration of community that we have been a part of for so many years teaches us about life? So often we are mired in our daily activities that we miss the beauty that is around us and within us. When I first bought my Prius many years ago, I began noticing all the other Priuses on the road. I would compare them to my own. Did you know that black Priuses are the best looking cars on the road? Well, that's called selective awareness. We all have it. We see what we want to see. We see what we expect to see and what we are socialized to see. And we so often make our judgments based upon that first appearance, upon what we want to see. And subsequently, we miss out often. We miss out on the deeper meaning. We need to be reminded again and again to slow down, to pay attention to the details, to be in the moment. And yet, how often we forget that there is value in being, in just being, in the present moment, this moment, now. This is actually the core of most religious traditions, to be in the moment. When we look at Buddhism, they practice mindfulness, which teaches us to relax our bodies and focus our minds and take a breath. Take in consideration of what is now, to be present to that which is right in front of us, to notice and to experience what is real. In the Gospel of Thomas, I hear a call to notice what is in this moment, to pay attention, especially to what is within you, to discover the depth of your own being. The Jewish practice of Sabbath is all about being. Those who practice Shabbat step outside of their usual schedule to create sacred space and create connection to themselves, to each other, to God. Rabbi Joshua Heschel describes it in this way in this book entitled The Sabbath. He says, there is a realm of time where the goal is not to have, but to be. Not to own, but to give. Not to control, but to share. Not to subdue, but to be in accord. And in our Christian tradition, serving others can often focus us and bring us together. Our youth in the past have often described one of their most meaningful experiences on mission trips, the time when we gather together, usually at night, around a circle or around a campfire, and sing praise songs. One particular song is called Sanctuary. Here are some of the words. Oh, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Each of these practices remind us to stop, to notice, to see the magic and wonder of all that is around us, to appreciate and to give thanks for all of life, and to commit ourselves once again to the divine, however we might experience that. Celebration of creativity in the art show that we put on for 42 years has been a wonderful spiritual reminder to all of us, a reminder to live in the moment, to not let life pass us by. It has also taught us to listen to the story within us. I love the African American spiritual entitled Down to the River to Pray. The song is beautiful, to be sure. And yet it is more beautiful and meaningful when you understand its story. When the slaves escaped, they would walk in the river because the water would cover their scent from the bounty hunter dogs. This story was about the African American slave experience. The story's crown was about navigating their escape by the stars. Knowing that story has given me a much deeper appreciation for that song. And I have also come to understand how important it is for me to understand, to listen to the stories of others, because it is in those stories where there is meaning and life and purpose and wholeness, just as it is in our own stories. Christ calls us to bring forth that which is within you. Not long after my stroke, when I was 40 years old, I attended a support group when a fellow member shared with everyone the importance of the beaded necklace that he had brought to the group meeting that night. As he took off the necklace, he went around the circle giving each person a bead along with a short blessing. I will never forget that meeting. To one person who was suffering with depression, he said, "This is the bead for the joy of friends that care about you." For another person who was constantly stressed in life, he said, "This is your bead. This represents your own fishing hole in the mountains." When he came to me, he looked in my eyes and said, "John, this is a bead for you when you become pastor and professor again." For the first time in a long time, I discovered what was within me. This was a time that I could hardly walk. I could barely talk. And in this moment, I realized that those realities were simply surface, disgusting realities. They had nothing to do with who I was on the inside. What was within me was far more authentic and genuine and able-bodied. At first, walking down the sidewalk of life, the spiky green thing can look pretty disgusting, certainly on the surface, certainly without further investigation, until we look at it closer and discover that what attaches an acorn to a beautiful oak tree is in fact that spiky green thing. The many works of art that undoubtedly you have in your home, on the surface and to those on the outside, may seem not important, not impressive, but you know the story behind that art. You know and have come to understand the significance of that art piece in your own home. And when you look at it closer, when you see it for what it is and can become, you know that it is much, much more. You know that its beauty is beyond the appearance. You know that the beauty is from within. So, my friends, wherever you find yourself this morning, if you want something greater, if you want greater meaning and purpose in your life, if you want to truly celebrate creativity and community in your own life, then live in the moment. Pay attention to the details. Pay attention to those who are around you. Look deeper at the story of your life and the world around you. And most importantly, bring forth the bead that is within you. Because that bead will let the light shine from you to everyone around you. To me, to all of us, that is creativity. That is art. You and me. Amen.